Yo, what is going on, boys? Welcome back. It is MMA Jack, and today we are breaking down the UFC 310 main card. Super slept on pay-per-view, and I think the prelims are amazing too. But side note, I'm actually going to be going to this event. I just found out recently, and I'm super hype. I'll post some content for you guys there, probably keep you updated on my experience, how it went. But this will be my second UFC event. I went to 274 in Phoenix. I think it was 274. Gaethje versus Oliveira, and it was such a cool experience. Timestamps will be in the description if you want to go to a specific fight. We are nearing 50 subscribers, which I'm very excited about. So if you enjoy, like, subscribe, and comment. I'm always in the comments talking with you guys, and appreciate all the engagement. Let's get into this fight. All right, kicking off the main card, which I think was a great decision by the UFC. We got Nate Landwehr and Dooho Choi. Both coming off a win in their last fight. They both come to fight. This is going to be an absolute banger. Really got to glaze Dana there for putting that in the main card placement where he put it. So Nate Landwehr, I was introduced to him back in, I believe it was like UFC Kansas City or St. Louis or something. It was a fight night, and he fought David Onama, and it was one of the best fights I've ever seen in my life. And I'm not too familiar with Dooho Choi, to be honest. I started watching the sport in around 2019, so I missed most of his recent fights because I just found out he went on a 4-year skid of not fighting. I assume that was because he's from South Korea. The Korean Zombie did the same thing where they have the mandatory military service, which is something to think about, I guess, for this fight. He had a long layoff, but he's coming off a KO win of Bill Algeo. So, I don't know. It's a tough fight to predict. I think I'm going to lean Nate due to the activity and just the fact that he's a dog. I also think Nate is a little bit better on the ground. He trains with Colby Covington. And I know South Korea has a decent amount of prospects and they have a decent MMA scene, but I think Nate is more immersed into the MMA scene than Dooho Choi is. So I think the fans just win on this one. I wouldn't put too much money on either side because I think it's going to be a very close and fun fight. But for my official prediction, give me Nate Landwehr by either knockout or decision. And you know damn well if Nate wins, we're going to get a fire post-fight speech. Night to train, baby. So, looking forward to that. I hope he can pull through and maybe get closer to the rankings on this one. All right, next up, boys. Not sure how this is here. Bryce Mitchell, Kron, Gracie. Good looks for Bryce. He's probably going to get a win here, but Kron's got to have the Dana leaks or something, bro. There is no way this man's back on the main card after that Charles Jourdain performance. I don't know if any of you saw it. Let's see here. Let's look on Tapology. It was 1 year and 6 months ago, but it was one of the worst performances I've ever seen in my entire life. All he did was sit on his ass and try to pull guard. Just terrible, terrible performance. And, you know, I actually listened to his media day thing, and I like the guy. He's a chill guy. He's nice. So I kind of feel bad for all the hate he's getting, but at the same time, I mean, no way he deserves to be on the main card. This one should be pretty easy for Bryce Mitchell here. If you look at just even the competition that they fought, Kron's only 5-2. He's barely fought anyone with a name. I mean, even Jourdain is, at least at this point in his career, not very good. And Mitchell has a couple good wins. He's coming off that brutal knockout loss, which could, you never know, that could change someone forever. Who knows? Maybe if it ends up on the ground. I mean, I would take Gracie on the ground, but I don't know if Bryce Mitchell's dumb enough to do that. Even if he still has pretty good jiu-jitsu, I think he could hold his own. But we'll see. Maybe the UFC knows something we don't. Maybe he's going to pull off some crazy upset and totally change his career around. But he's already 36, very inactive fighter, and has 0 hands. It's all just the grappling in his last name. So we're going to go with Bryce Mitchell here. I don't know if we'll finish him. Maybe decision would be a better play. But yeah, take a double chance. Maybe a knockout or decision, because I don't think he's going to submit him. But yeah, let's move on to the featured fight. All right, going into the featured fight, like I just said, we got Ciryl Gane versus Alexandre Volkov. I'm personally very excited for this matchup. I love watching both these heavyweights fight. This fight was supposed to take place at UFC 308, but it got pushed back. I don't know the reason why. I'm assuming some sickness or injury, but regardless, we'll get to see it, or I'll get to see it live, which was pretty cool. Okay, let's get into the breakdown. So I am feeling a Volkov upset here. I feel like he's the dark horse of the division right now. He's riding a 4-fight win streak, but it's been very quiet. You don't hear much about Volkov. I think he's getting a lot more hype after that Pavlovich win. I mean, he just absolutely dismantled him, which was crazy. He's beaten Rosenstruik, Romanov, Tai Tuivasa, and Sergey Pavlovich in his last 4. So that's a pretty good palette of guys to be beating in a win streak. I know Romanov is, pretty mid, and Tuivasa is now too, but I mean, still, he demolished both of them. And the Pavlovich win is incredible. I mean, a while ago, I thought Pavlovich was going to knock out Jones. Just crazy. And then Aspinall beat him, but Aspinall's Aspinall, so I don't know. I kind of feel a Volkov upset here. It's a little bit sketch because Ciryl Gane is still extremely athletic and very good at what he does. He gets in and out. He's more of a counter striker, kind of stays at distance and picks you off. He's definitely more athletic than Volkov is. So I don't see Volkov being able to knock him out or anything here. But I think he could kind of out-pressure him. I think he can keep up with him. Their first fight was a long time ago. It was back in 2022. Actually, I think it might have been 2021. If not, it was early 2022. And Gane's been kind of off doing side quests. Like, he's just filming his movies, and I don't know how involved he is in the game. I feel like Volkov is more hungry, and he wants that belt really bad. I don't think he would get it. I don't think he's beating Aspinall or Jones because of the wrestling, but Volkov can wrestle as well. That's another factor that kind of leads me to this conclusion. I'm not going to count out Gane, obviously. Wouldn't be surprised if he got a unanimous decision win or maybe a split. But this is a really tough one to predict, and I think at the odds that you have currently, not a bad idea to take Volkov. He's got all the momentum going into this. Gane's been out for a while, so not a confident pick, but give me Alexandre Volkov by decision. Well, I'm pissed, boys. I just recorded that entire segment and realized my microphone was muted. So let's run it back. Ian, Garry, Shavkat, Rahkmonov. Super hyped for this fight. This is a rare, true undefeated versus undefeated prospect fight. Not two guys on the Contender Series or something who are fighting. This is a really big fight. Massive implications for the welterweight division. And welterweight's been stacked. Like, it's getting stacked. I mean, Brian Battle, Prates, there's all these guys on the come up. Rahkmonov, Garry. It's a scary division to be in if you're one of the older guys holding up the top. But let's get into this fight breakdown. They're both obviously in their last 5 undefeated. They do have 2 similar opponents, being Neil Magny and Jeff Neal. Both of those fights, Shavkat finished. Both of those fights, Ian went to decision. Not saying they weren't impressive performances, but specifically the Neil Magny fight, I mean, Ian should have got him out of there. That was bad. But I actually think Garry has a better chance than a lot of people think here, especially on the feet. Now, do I think he's going to win the fight? I don't think so. I think we're going to see moments. Like, I could see him coming out strong, maybe round 1 or 2, and everyone's going to be like, oh shit, like Garry's going to do it, getting all hype, and then we see Shavkat I see a submission here. I don't even really see a knockout from either side. I don't think Garry has enough power to KO Shavkat. And I think what we're going to see here is a really good battle on the feet, leaning towards Ian Garry's favor. And then Shavkat will start to get him in the clinch, press him up against the fence. Garry's takedown defense hasn't really been tested too much by wrestlers like Shavkat. But I think he can do decent at defending them. The Shavkat glaze is a little bit crazy. People are acting like he's the next, like, John Jones or something. So we need to slow that down a little bit with the glazing of him. But I do think he's going to win this fight. I think the odds are there for a reason. Vegas usually knows what they're talking about. And I think, like I said, we're going to see a pretty good fight. but near the end, I think Shavkat's going to pull through, and I do think he's going to get the finish over Garry. I don't see this going 25 minutes. I see a probably round 3, 4, or 5 submission for Shavkat, or maybe a TKO, I guess, if he could get him in a compromised position and get some ground and pound off. But yeah, either way, I think it's going to be a really good fight. I don't think this will derail Ian Garry's career. I think he'll bounce back strong if he does lose. And if he wins, I mean, mad respect to him. I mean, he's a cuck, but you got to give respect where respect's due. He stepped up and saved this card. So overall, really excited. Another one I think the fans are going to win. And yeah, give me Shavkat by submission. All right, we made it to the main event. Alexandre Pantoja versus Asakura. This is a very rare case of a UFC debut straight into a title shot. I don't really think it's 100% deserved. I think if the division was a little bit more stacked, he would have to, he could hop in the top 5 and fight someone there, kind of like a Chandler Hooker or something. But I think this division's so dry that they kind of just threw him in there. Not saying he couldn't do it, but I am going to take Pantoja. The reason being is the grappling. And there's actually another reason, but it's not as strong. So I'm not going to act like I'm some, MMA god and, I've seen all of Asakura's fights. Like, no, I haven't. I've watched his highlight reel. I've listened to other people talk about him who know more than me. And he's not that good. Like, of course he's very good, but at the same time, he's fighting in a different promotion that is not nearly as stacked as the UFC. Like, Pantoja's had way harder competition, and he's had to deal with way more stylistic problems for him. And also, Asakura also lost to Manel Kopp, which is not good looks. I know it was a little bit ago, and anything could happen. But based off just MMA math here and the level of competition, I think Pantoja's going to take it. He's kind of just good everywhere. Like, he's not specifically amazing at striking, amazing at grappling, but he can go wherever you want to go if you're fighting him. And I think that's very important. And I think his grappling, I think he knows that Asakura is going to come out, try to blitz him. Like, Asakura's best chance to win this is to just knock him out quick, which he could do. I'm not going to count him out. I haven't seen him fight in the UFC yet, but I think Pantoja is going to take this to the ground, and honestly, I think he's going to find a submission. Now, Kai could prove me wrong and knock him out, and I'd be happy for that, honestly. I like both of them. I think if Kai wins, it would bring a massive portion of the Japan fan base that is really an on-tap market because of Ryzen for the UFC over to the UFC. So I think it'd be cool, have, fresh blood as the champ, and he's pretty entertaining from what I've seen on his highlight reels, but I think I'm going to have to stick with Pantoja here, strictly due to the grappling, and he has a chin on him too. I mean, he's been hit so many times, and he just doesn't drop. So, yeah, give me Alexandre Pantoja by submission or decision. Also, one thing I didn't mention that I just remembered, the weight cut. Kai fought at 135 in Ryzen, and who knows, it could be a really tough cut for him to 125. But yeah, so that is the breakdown of the UFC 310 main card. If you enjoyed, please like, comment, subscribe. Enjoy the fights. I may post some content while I'm there, may not, depending on how busy I am or if I'm feeling it or not. But if you made it to this point in the video, appreciate you, and we'll see you on the next card.